A CNB exclusive, the all-new Hyundai Elantra that's coming to India this year. We review the new Triumph, Bonneville and Thruxton R. And it's the brand new offering from Mahindra. Another review, this one's the NuvoSport. So it's the all-new 6th generation Hyundai Elantra and it's an exclusive review right here on CNB. Thanks for joining us. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Parthankar. Let's get straight to it. I drove the car a few days ago in New York. Here's our exclusive. The Hyundai Elantra first came to us in its 3rd generation in 2003. That car was appreciated for its space and drivability, but was panned for terrible looks. We skipped the improved yet blah-looking 4th generation, and in 2012 Hyundai finally returned the nameplate to the Indian market with the gorgeously fluidic 5th generation. The car was ample, stunning to look at, drove reasonably well. And now the 6th generation Elantra is set to debut in India, and the car will arrive in time for Diwali. The new Elantra loses the fluidic looks, and I have to say it is nowhere near as pretty as the last one. But while the new Elantra is similar size, it tends to appear bigger than the last car. This is primarily due to the lack of curves and that hexagonal front grille. The car's styling is upmarket, contemporary, yet lacks the weak-in-the-knees look of the previous Elantra. Now the car looks bigger than the last one. It looks a lot more high-end too, because if you look at the individual bits, the use of the different materials, the chrome, the projector headlamp, piano black housing for the DRLs down here, it's all nice and sort of premium, and so it makes the car look more ample than the last one, but it's certainly not as pretty as the last one. It was certainly a much nicer looking car, the last Elantra, and we still don't know what part of all of this, in terms of styling as well, is going to make it to the Indian Elantra. The straighter lines and pentagonal head and tail lights are very attractive though, and are the redeeming features in this design for me. The tail light in particular receives the LED treatment and looks very nice with its 3-pentagon motif. The daytime running lights have moved into the bumper, and I certainly hope they make it to the Indian version. For all its success, the last car had a weak structure and tended to display that on Indian roads often. The suspension was also weak, and that didn't help its less than accurate steering. The new Elantra is an improvement over the last one when it comes to both handling and driving performance, and the automatic gearbox is definitely a little more refined. These are areas that needed just a little tweaking, because remember, the last Elantra was also very comfortable. And the other good news for most buyers in India, good suspension settings, just the kind we need, which means a comfortable ride both in the front and at the back. The car with me is the US spec 2-litre petrol with 147 bhp on tap. The engine offers a broad torque band, which is great. The standard gearbox is a 6-speed manual, though my test car has the optional 6-speed automatic. There are 3 driving modes: Eco, Sport, Normal, which, as you must have guessed, alter gear shift timing, throttle response and steering feel. While I did get the sense of the wheel feeling lighter or stiffer, the Sport mode is no fun really. Ride quality though is great. Hyundai has reconfigured the rear twist beam and added a more vertical and longer shock absorber at the rear for better impact damping. This means a stiffer ride without being hard or bouncy. The last Elantra was already a pretty good car in terms of performance and pretty comfortable as well. It was a very strong first runner-up, even at our NDTV Car and Bike Awards a few years ago, so we certainly like everything about it. The good part is that this car improves a little bit on that. It doesn't take away some of the USPs in terms of both the kind of response I'm getting as well as the overall suspension setting, which is very akin to what we would like in India. And the better part, the automatic gearbox has certainly been tweaked. That was one chink in its armor. It is certainly more refined now. The car also has no paddle shifters, which means you have to nudge the Tiptronic gearbox when you switch to manual. The automatic itself, though, is brilliant. and I would just leave it in that. There is definite reduction in overall noise, and Hyundai tells me that NVH has been really a focus area for this generation. While I expect Hyundai to bring us the new 2-litre petrol, we will likely get a revised version of the existing 1.6-litre diesel as the other engine on the car. My current information is that Hyundai will definitely launch the car in both fuel types. It's a plush and well-finished cabin with good plastics and comfortable seats. Top spec with me gets the 7-inch touchscreen with navigation and all the connectivity and entertainment you can think of. The car with me has optional satellite radio and Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. Hyundai will do well to bring at least some of that to the Indian car. The Elantra has swiveling HID headlights, emergency braking with pedestrian detection, adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist, but I reckon some of that may not be on the India spec. And now the big catch. The US spec Elantra uses new construction methods that use more glued together panels rather than spot welding. The idea is to offer greater stiffness by using aerospace adhesives, not uncommon to cars these days, but while the last car used 10 feet of glue bead, the new one has 394 feet. The glue bead is applied robotically, so it's unclear whether Hyundai's India plant will be able to offer the same level of sophistication in the car's construction, since it will no doubt be made in India. A higher weld percentage may mean a compromised ride and build quality as compared to the global product, but we'll have to wait and see what Hyundai brings us. It is the best Elantra ever and will be a compelling sedan on the market. It's spacious, has some clever features, and will presumably be priced right by Hyundai when it arrives later this year. Hyundai calls that electric blue, and by the way, Maruti calls this color cerulean blue. It's kind of similar. I love blue, so I'm partial to both those, and I like them both. Now let's move on to the new Triumphs. These are the classics, the Bonneville and the Thruxton are, and Preetham rode them in Portugal.
The all-new Bonneville T120 takes forward the iconic Bonneville range with an all-new bike.
The look remains the same. It's the classic look, the quintessential classic Bonneville look, but everything from the ground up is new.
The designers at Triumph decided to keep the classic lines of the new Bonneville T120 intact, and that is a very good thing. It's certainly nostalgic, evoking the same old 60s motorcycling style and a silhouette that remains unmistakably classic. Complete with the spoked wheels, the paint schemes on the new Bonneville T120 have been inspired by the original Classic too. The instrument panel retains the classic twin-pod structure with a speedometer and tachometer, but gets an additional LCD display. New bits include an LED daytime running light, LED tail light and heated grips. The result is a motorcycle that certainly pays a fitting tribute to the original, but in essence the Bonneville T120 is an all-new modern motorcycle. The all-new theme extends to the engine. It has a larger displacement at 1200cc and also gets liquid cooling, a first for the Bonneville. There's more power, both lower down and across the rev range, and makes higher torque across the rev range. The decision to go to 1200cc from 900 was because Triumph wanted to offer more torque and yet didn't want that engine to be any larger. So the engine sits within the same overall envelope of the previous one. It makes 18% higher peak power than the previous T100 and at 4500 RPM makes 50% more power. What's more significant is the amount of tech the Bonneville T120 gets. There's ride-by-wire, 2 riding modes, rain and road, ABS, switchable traction control and liquid cooling. Our ride route was around the rolling hills of Cascais in western Portugal, and the T120 really impressed. It has a taut yet plush and comfortable ride, and the front end hands out a lot of confidence to go around corners at a brisk pace. The high torque motor lives up to its name, and the T120 shrugs off uphill climbs. The bike weighs 224 kilos, but there's no sense of its weight once you start moving. The center of gravity is low, and once on the move, you can flick it from side to side through the twisties without ever feeling any sense of discomposure. The Triumph Bonneville T120 Black we're riding will not make it to India, but the changes are mostly cosmetic. The standard T120, the one that we will get in India, gets all the same equipment as the T120 Black. The only difference is in the paint and chrome bits. Of course, you get the classic two-tone paint schemes as well on the T120. The cafe racer in the new Bonnie range is the new Thruxton R. Heavily inspired by modern-day custom cafe racers, and that's the beauty of it. It looks genuine, and the quality of finish is top-notch, from the polished top yoke to the sleek and narrow tank, topped by the brush strap and Monza filler cap. Equipment is high quality, be it the all-new headlight design with DRL, LED tail light, 3D dual clocks on the instrument panel, and a host of rider-focused technology: switchable ABS, switchable traction control, torque assist clutch, ride-by-wire with 3 different riding modes, rain, road and sport, and liquid cooling. The engine, the same unit as the one on the Bonneville T120, is called the high-power version. So while the displacement remains the same, there's more power and more torque across the rev range. The same architecture, but a lighter crankshaft and larger air intake. So, more power, more torque and quicker response. Peak power is a healthy 96 bhp, not an eye-popping number, but the torque, a very meaty 112 Nm of it, kicks in at just below 5000 rpm. So the moment you cross those revs, a surge of power and torque hits you. Then there's the traction control and ride-by-wire with 3 modes, rain, road and sport. Power output is the same in all models, but throttle response is dialed down low on rain and progressively increases from road to sport. Needless to say, sport is where the hooliganism begins. The power and torque smacking you with entertaining ferocity every time you redline through the 6-speed gearbox. The riding position is aggressive, but not too difficult to take on relatively longish sprints. The R-Spec variant that we're riding and the one that's coming to India gets a higher spec suspension, brakes and tyres.
This bike still retains the classic feel of a cafe racer. It still feels like a classic. It rides like a classic. It performs like a classic. But it goes that much closer to sport bike territory. You'll have the feeling of riding a sport bike. It's been given that sport bike character by Triumph. This new revamp has completely worked. And if you kind of like a sporty bike, you'll definitely like the Thruxton R. It is a fantastic bike to ride around. You can ride it around the weekend, you can ride it and even go on the track on occasions if you feel like.
The Triumph Thruxton R will soon be launched in India, and our guess is it will retail somewhere around 10 to 11 lakh rupees ex-showroom Delhi. At that price, you're in litre class sport bike territory. The question is, should you consider one?
As always, time for a short break here, but plenty that we've showed you. Please react to it and stay tuned for the NuvoSport review. Now, Mahindra suddenly has a whole lot of compact SUVs from a situation just a few months ago where it had none. So the NuvoSport now joins that bandwagon, and it has to take on this car, which is fast becoming the market leader. The Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza already has 36,000 bookings under its belt in just 1 month. But what's new about the NuvoSport and how does it drive? Let's find out.
Mahindra has been on a roll. From not having much to offer in the compact segments, its SUV portfolio is suddenly looking crowded at the entry end of the market. It's now this, though it is a model whose name doesn't end with an O, the NuvoSport.
It's been on the cards for some time, and the Quanto really needed a big facelift. And that's what Mahindra has brought to the table. It's changed everything. Well, not everything, but quite a lot. It's changed the name to begin with, and now it's called the NuvoSport. If you see, even the front design has entirely changed. It's now more bulky, more muscular looking, and that's what Mahindra is going for. Sporty looking, muscular looking SUVs. And even if you see, the DRLs there look pretty nice, but the headlamps actually remind you of the EcoSport.
Yes, they are indeed DRLs and not parking lights like in the Scorpio, XUV or even the Creta. Further design tweaks include the contoured hood with the intake, which feeds air to the intercooler, the plastic cladding on the sides, and the wheel cover at the back is all new but similar to the one we've seen on the TUV 300. The cabin is a familiar one as the basic design has been carried forward from the Quanto. The dash is the same, though now gets a grey and black finish. The feature list includes new dials and a new steering wheel, which comes with steering mounted controls. There's also a 6.2-inch touchscreen system, Bluetooth, aux-in, USB, a Kenwood audio system with navigation, radio and a CD player. There are rear parking sensors as well as cruise control, and all these features are a notch above the TUV 300. The wheelbase is the same 2760 mm, and this still gives you sufficient legroom. The height has been increased by around 10 mm, and though that is marginal, it translates into enhanced headroom. And then there are the 7 seats on offer. The 2 jump seats at the rear are comfortable for kids, and an adult can squeeze in too. Mind you, it won't be comfortable for long trips. What's new is that the seats in the second row recline, and this means that the passengers there have added comfort. But you can't really use the jump seats if you recline them. There's a fair amount of luggage space on offer at 412 litres. The second row seats now come with a 60-40 split, and you can push them down to expand the luggage space to 850 litres.
This is the second car from the Mahindra stable to come with an AMT. It was not surprising that it would, because this was showcased earlier in the Delhi Auto Expo. But it's the same Ricardo-sourced AMT which we see in the TUV, and it's calibrated pretty well because it has more power to deal with now. It's pretty nice. The gear changes might not be as seamless as you want it to be, but they do the job, and that's what you want. You know, the ease of driving. It's pretty nice to, I mean, the gears can be engaged manually, and you really get a feel of how an AMT should be calibrated. It's pretty nice.
Power is available from as low as 1500 RPM, but anything below that and the NuvoSport takes some time to get going. Match the revs and the SUV is in the zone, but you get quite a growl from the engine when you downshift, though Mahindra insists that the NVH levels have been worked on. The M-Hawk 100 comes with a 2-stage turbocharger which tries to kill the lag, but if the needle slides below 1500 RPM, the response time of the engine drops significantly. Mahindra also has a power and eco mode in the car, but that's available in the manual transmission variant. In the eco mode, the revs are restricted to 3500 RPM and the torque drops. There is a vast difference in the way the car drives in the eco mode, as there is less power on offer as well. The engine dips just the amount required and not any more. It's as if it goes on a crash diet at the press of a button. M&M claims fuel efficiency at 17.45 kilometers to the litre and says that is not in the eco mode, where you could get even better numbers. On the safety front, the car meets the safety norms that will be enforced in India in 2017. But what's great is ABS with EBD, and dual airbags are an option right from the base variant. The NuvoSport is available in 6 variants: N4, N4 Plus, N6, N6 AMT, N8 and N8 AMT, and prices start from 7,42,000 rupees and top out at 9,87,000 rupees. The NuvoSport competes against the likes of the new Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza, Ford EcoSport and even its own sibling, the TUV 300 in this space, but doesn't really stand out as a distinct frontrunner. Yet it is definitely a major step ahead of the Quanto.
It's been quite an action-packed week. It wasn't just the NuvoSport. The Tata Tiago also launched this week with some killer pricing from Tata Motors. React to all of that. You know how to reach us on our social media channels. All of that information is on your screens. With that, I promise to be back next week. Please wear your seatbelts. Please wear your helmets. Bye-bye.